Welcome back to another market update, guys. I'm Philip here from BlackBull Markets. Hope you're all doing well. This video I want to talk to you guys about Tesla. Also want to talk to you guys about some FX pairs, especially the Aussie dollar, and I'll also be looking at gold as well. So make sure to stick all the way through to the end of the video to see what analysis we might have, and also if we could look at potential moves in the market for either this week or the next week. Also make sure to smash that like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are interested in learning more about Forex and improving your current trading skills. Once you've done that, comment down below, let us know you subscribed, and we'll be happy to get back to those comments. Guys, also if you have any requests that you want us to do, any markets, or even if you don't understand something about Forex, let us know down below in the comments and we can make videos specifically for those questions or market analysis, guys. So without further ado, let's jump into the charts and see what we have now. Tesla here on the daily term time frame, actually, we can see we had a massive slump to the downside. We went all the way from these nice sort of highs we had just above that 100 mark zone and completely dumped to the downside, right? Now, yes, there are a lot of fundamentals that play out with stocks, guys, but for me, I found great success using purely technicals. I do sometimes look at the fundamentals just to get an idea of when there will be movement in the market, specifically for FX. A lot of times in FX, when there are big news events like your NFP or CPI data coming out, we tend to try and stay away from the market because there's uncertainty in that time frame. Similar with stocks can be played out as well. We can see uncertainty and then that big dump. But looking at the technicals, we can actually use the technicals because the chart tells us the story. This is literally mass psychology on how people react. So if you want to know what's going on in the market, look at the charts. Okay, so let's have a quick look here. After this dump, what actually happened here? We can actually see if we look to the left of our chart, we see there are consolidation zones playing around here that we can see the market rejecting. Now, if we take a straight line from this peak where the market did decide to drop, pull it as straight as I can all the way to the left, we can see we had these resistance zones over here play out a lot of the time. So this is a very strong indication. What we can also see right over here is we had this little structure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw it here for you guys so you can see it a bit more clearly. I'll draw it in this gap. We see the market go up, create that high, market comes back down, rejects on that consolidation zone and pushes to the downside. We see this exact sort of structure play out right over here. You guys see that internal support / resistance zone where the market rejected. So yes, fundamentals can help, but technicals seem to be king, even though there are a lot of news events playing out. So let's use the technicals to see what we could potentially be looking for the future at Tesla, guys. Now, before I do dive into the serious technicals of this and potential moves, remember, I always say this in all our videos, as a trader, we're not here to be right. We're not here to predict what the market does, so we might give analysis, but we always have to be aware of what could happen if we are wrong, okay? Because the market doesn't care about what you think. It's just going to do its thing, and all we have to do as traders is jump on its back and follow along, okay? That's what we can't predict, and that's a very big thing, a big mistake, especially for new traders, is they try to predict the market, and they get set on their analysis, and they might, let's say, for example, take a buy and the market will jump back down and they'll be attached to their trade saying no, the market should go up. Every time it gets a little gap, they go, oh, thank you, the market's going to start moving up. It drops a bit more and they get a little bit panicky, and the market goes up, oh, thank you, yes, it's finally stopped, the market's going to go back up, and it continues over and over. In the meantime, they go ahead and stand back and look at the market and go, oh, I should have sold. Okay, so this is why we don't get attached to our trades. If we are wrong in our analysis, change your perspective, look for other options, and then we can jump back on board of it. Get out of a losing trade as quickly as you can, okay? So let's have a look at this. We saw a bit of support here. We have broken past it, but we are diving into a major consolidation zone, sitting here just between the 890 mark zone and sort of the low here that I've got. I'm going to ignore this extremity over here because that was a false breakout. We saw, rejection over here and over here. I'm going to say this 890 sitting just above the 730 mark zone as well. So this is a big consolidation zone, okay? So what I want to be looking for, we can see we are sitting on sort of a slightly support as well. If we can get some rejection here, looking for any sort of structures like this, or, anything that could give us, head and shoulders patterns that we could look for, anything along the lines of that, around this area, we could start looking for buys. However, looking at the other side of the picture, if Tesla does decide to play around in here, personally, I don't want to be touching it because we can see there is a lot of mess, a lot of uncertainty. that is playing along inside this area. So I'm going to try and stay away if this market does continue to go below this 890 mark zone. I'll try and stay away and not look for any moves until we can maybe look at pushes below that zone. Now I do have this sort of channel that we're trading in. So again, I want to be trading with the channel, okay? If we do reach this top, so if it does bounce down here, I'm not going to be looking for any trades because, even if the market follows the rules of this channel, let's say it comes back down to here, and I put a position in, even if this market follows the rules, so position over here, it can actually stop me out just by following the rules on that trend line. Okay, I prefer to trade with this because if it does push up here and I could take a position, for example, even if it follows the rules of that trend line, I could slowly be making profit. And the longer I stay in that channel, the bigger my profit target becomes because this gets further and further away. Okay, so positions to the downside, I want to be looking at when this market, big gap here, when this market does break below about that 650 mark zone, we can start looking at these targets. Now looking at this bigger picture, this is why it's so important to look at the higher term time frames. Look at where we're sitting. Nice support right over here. Go back to where the market is, we see a rejection. We have actually a bit of a head and shoulders pattern that could potentially be playing out here as well. So that could be a very nice indication that the market is ready to perhaps to fill this and come back to these highs. Looking at 1790 could be a good target. Okay, let's jump over to the other pairs. I want to show you guys some Aussie pairs now. Aussie has been pumping to the downside. So let's have a look. This is the 4 hourly time frame. Okay, we also have, I'm going to be putting my support line right over here. Okay, so we can see a nice support zone. The market has gone below it, but it's started to retrace back above it. Okay, so let's have a look on the daily just quickly to see the bigger picture. Big jump to the downside. We went below it. So what am I looking for the future? Potential sells could be a very good idea here for Aussie if we can stay below this 90.9 mark zone. Okay, that'd be a very good place to look for sells, because what that means is on the daily time frame we're below these candle closes. We're following the strength of this market. We're seeing what these candles are creating. They're creating lower highs and lower lows with these candle wicks and everything. So we could potentially be looking for now retesting inside this internal support / resistance zone for the market to continue further lower. Okay, but again, let's have a look at the other side of this picture. If we get a close above that zone, guys, we need to be aware that the market could be rejecting on this. This could have been a big drop, because remember, drops in the market tend to come with fear. Big moves tend to come with fear. Market will start to slow down a bit, and then we could start looking for positions further higher. So we could see rejections, pushing further higher, pushing the Aussie back to the 95 mark zone. Okay. Other pair I'm going to be looking at, Aussie dollar as well as a good target. We're seeing here a bit of consolidation, and we could also be looking for potential sells coming up as well, because we do have that break and retest. This could go very nicely hand in hand with the Aussie yen pair that we're looking at as well, so keep that in mind. If we do trade the Aussie yen, we don't want to be trading the Aussie dollar as well, because we're essentially double risking. Okay, so what we're seeing, very similar sort of structure. We're seeing the market go below a low, and we're seeing nice break of resist, break of support, now starting to reject it. So very similar structures. Now again, always have to look at the other side of the picture. If we get a close above, we could perhaps looking at head and shoulders positions to push this market further higher. Nice targets, 0.7363 is what I've got here on my charts. Could be a good target to the upside. If we do break below, or if we stay below where we currently are, let's have a quick look at potential targets, guys. Daily time frame. Actually, let's pop it on the 4 hourly, zoom it out a bit so we can see a bit better. We can see again, there's that low as well that we saw similar on the Aussie yen. So there is a lot of movement, a lot of potential to the downside, because the strength is coming down, guys. So let's keep that in mind for the market moving further lower. Okay, GBP JPY is another very common pair to be traded. Follows a very similar structure to Aussie yen, the Aussie pairs. We can see here as well, 4 hourly time frame looks almost exactly the same. The only difference is we have not broken that low. Okay, we have not yet broken that low. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. There's that low that we have. Okay, and it has just touched on it and not yet broken it. This is why, if we look at the Aussie yen, put on the 4 hourly time frame, zoom it out of it, we can see we broke it here. So we might say, oh yes, the market's going to go to the downside. Remember, it's a yen pair. Looking at GBP JPY, looks identical. Okay, looks almost identical. except the only fact is it didn't break. So this could give us a thought that say, okay, well, yes, there are also opportunities for this to go further higher. So we need to keep that in mind, guys. Like I said, always look at both sides of the picture. Okay, don't want to drag this out too long. Let's jump onto the last pair, which is gold. We have been following gold for quite a while. There's nothing much spectacular happening here on gold. Okay, we've reached down into our zone. So if we have a look here at the 4-hourly time frame, you know, zoom it out a bit, we can see we have this major consolidation zone. If you guys remember, there it's trying to reach these all-time highs again. 1974 is what we have in our all-time highs, but we can see this zone, support zone, has been hit, and there's our top zone. I'm going to use this over here because we do have some resistance coming around this area. This is a fake out, I would call it, you know, a bit of an extremity similar to what we have here. It's generally what head and shoulders or zone re-entries are, is we have extremities, right? And this confirms that the market is ready to change around. So we had some of the sort of structures around here, and obviously the head and shoulders right over here. Okay, so we're starting to see some rejection. We are staying in a zone, so if you guys are willing to stick out a bit of hideousness in the market, feel free to look for positions further higher. Be aware that we could, like I said, be in consolidation, but buys could be a good idea as well, going back to that 1970 mark zone until we break this low. If we break this low, obviously we're going to be looking at our other side of the story, looking at support / resistance zones, guys, to see if we have any potential targets to the downside. Remember, we're not here to be right, we're here to follow what the market gives us. Guys, thanks so much for watching. From us here at BlackBull Markets, trade safe, stay tuned, have a good week.